Hello, Soulshine. I am Michelle, and I'm inviting you to wake up and live. I'm also inviting you to become a member of my YouTube family. Now, most of the time I do live videos, but I am going to a couple of days of an all-day event. And I thought, what a perfect time to share this pre-recorded video with you. This video is where I'm an interviewee with Sarah, and she has a weekly podcast. She was kind enough to do it on Zoom so that we can have a video for my YouTube channel. If you've got questions that are not answered in this video, please comment below. Please let me know. I have other ways and other things that I've both learned since doing this recording and just didn't think to talk about in this video. So I would love to share more information with you. Remember to let your soul shine big, bright, live, and beautiful, and I will be back live real soon.
Welcome to the Breakthrough to Your Beautiful Life podcast. I'm Sarah Prince, the author, speaker, coach, friend, and mentor that is here to help you break through to your beautiful life without sacrificing what you love. And I have a very special guest today. I'm excited to introduce her. Her name is Michelle. And Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you love to do.
My name is Michelle. I have 6 children, 1 grandbaby on the way. I have written some books. I'm a speaker and author, and I love to help people shine. I love to help people find the true selves inside of them and let that just shine out big.
That's fantastic. Yeah, Michelle has a fantastic passion and purpose towards helping others just glow. And I love that. And that's why I wanted to have her on the podcast today. And for those of you that follow Michelle on YouTube, you're going to see this in a video on her channel, which is fantastic. And so we love this interaction. And when I look, I'm excited to talk about everything that we're going to talk about. And in fact, I asked Michelle, I said, can we talk about the idea of how we already have all the answers that we need in life? So often every day we wake up and we just go through the monotony, right? And we think we can't figure it out. We feel like there's no solution to our troubles, and we just pray and wait for them to be over with as soon as possible, right? But in fact, Michelle's going to teach us today how we actually already have all of the answers that we're seeking inside of us. And it reminds me of a lot of books like The Alchemist, where there's the teachings of that story is, if you haven't read the book, that the young man in that story is searching for his treasure, right? So that he can seek his fortune. And he spends his whole life trying to find it, and it actually, I'll totally ruin the ending for you if you haven't read it. But what he's searching for was at the very beginning of where he started. And so it ties into this idea that we're so gifted that we already have what's within us. And so I'm so excited for us to talk about this today, Michelle. So first off, why did you want to talk about this idea in the first place? Why do you
I think this is the core of who we are. We have this being inside us that a lot of us forget. It's our soul, it's our spirit. And that soul and that spirit is just it knows exactly what we need for our life. It knows how to conquer our personal life situations and live to the fullest. And so when we can tune into that space, that's where we get our know what choices are best for us as unique individuals.
Yes, exactly. And because we may feel like we're so typical or normal, but we are actually so unique. Mm-hmm. And our experiences and our perceptions are completely different than anyone else's who's even maybe gone through the same circumstances or similar
Right.
experiences. But we already possess is what is specific to us. So I really like that. And it's such a concept that may be really new to a lot of people, and that's okay, but it's absolutely something that you should know, right? And I'm sure you agree.
Absolutely. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's kind of back up. When we were talking earlier before getting together to do this podcast, I was thinking, okay, this idea that we already have the answers we seek inside of us, that's kind of like a final result or a final understanding or awareness that somebody kind of reaches. And I was thinking, well, where does someone come from? Where do they start, or what situation may they be in before they actually come to this understanding? So for example, did I confuse you? Sorry. So for example, someone that when we're at these pivotal points in our lives, when we feel like we're on the cusp of a new level of awareness, or on the cusp of change that's coming, or we feel like we're not in the right situation anymore, or we feel like we are above where we have been for so long, like we feel that energetic shift, where does someone need to be in order to fully understand that we already have answers inside of us? Does that help?
Where somebody needs to be, well, I was thinking back to the question that you sent me in the email, and so if you have people who don't already know it, for them, they're going to test it with little things. So kind of you come across something and you kind of test it, and you kind of, I have a meditative technique that I use, and the whole purpose of it is just to help me calm and feel like I'm connected. And I imagine light going out and going up and connecting as high as it can into pure light above, and that light coming down into me, and then the light going down into the center of the earth and connecting into the pure energy at the center of the earth and coming up into me, and then expanding out. And when I'm in that space, it allows me to kind of get centered and calm, and so I can hear the answers. And so I ask a question, and the easiest question to ask is, what would it take? So if I am, maybe I'm having a challenge with my children, what would it take to resolve this problem? And then I will listen to hear if I get any kind of answers. And if the answer is on, then I ask again and I ask again until I get to the very bottom. Your journey, action step, then you're going to try it. You go to the park. Go to the park. So you're going to act on it, and you're going to go to the park and just trust it. And then you'll ask again, and you'll just trust these little things. An example of this is one time I just wanted to make $50 that day. And I had this thought to post a thing on Facebook saying that I was going to offer a 2-for-1 deal on the healing I was doing at the time. And I was like, are you serious? I'm going to do what? But I did it. I acted on it. And one of my friends contacted me, and she's like, okay, I'm in. And she paid me $50 that day. And so it's just those little things that you're going to try, and you're going to just experiment with it first. And then you're going to asking, and you keep doing, and you keep following these ideas that you have. Even if they seem totally off the wall and totally bizarre, they're going to be perfect for you because they're coming from inside of you. And you're going to get better at it and better at it and get better at it until where you just walk around throughout life and you just tune in and ask yourself about everything.
Okay. So might someone call this, their intuition or their higher self, or perhaps God or the universe giving them the answers? Is this
Absolutely.
absolutely awesome?
Absolutely. Like sometimes I do it specifically with prayer because that's how I prefer to talk to God. That's what I consider, that's what
Mhm.
I prefer to do it through prayer. So sometimes I'll get into that connected space and then I'll say a prayer. Other times I feel like I'm tuning into my intuition. For me, it just depends on the situation um, and it feels different to me, the different ways I get answers as well.
So is this something that, so for example, we know that there's people out there that perhaps they're not ready to even embrace this idea. Like, how in the world do you expect me to receive answers to something by just meditating on it or by just asking the question? Those, do you feel like those individuals that this concept or this idea, these steps that you mentioned that they could take, they're just not ready for it? And perhaps other individuals that, you know what, I want to learn more about this. I want more help and assistance this way with my higher self or intuition, and just teach me what to do. Is Do you feel like this is something that everyone can do easily, like those two individuals I mentioned, or is it really only for those that are just kind of ready and accepting?
Um, you are going to have a problem doing it if you're not willing to try. I believe every single person on the planet is capable of it, but
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily willing. So if you're not willing, um, there's going to be other ways. Maybe you're willing to try journaling activities, and you can write out answers and receive feedback that way. Um, maybe maybe you're just not ready for it, and what you can ask for is help being ready for it.
So are there more than one ways? Are there different actions that individuals can take to use this idea of gaining all the answers that they need?
Oh, absolutely. There's one person I follow a little bit. Her name is Rachel Archelaus, and she does an intuitive drawing idea that's different than some other intuitive drawings. I know some other people that do intuitive artwork, and so she just has this thing where you go through a meditation beforehand, and you choose what each color means to you, and then you close your eyes and you just let your hand pick up the colors and you draw, and then you interpret it. So it's a different way, it's a visual way to kind of get some answers. And so you have these scribblies and you have to figure out, okay, this color means this and this color means this. And you can ask questions based on the colors you put down on your paper. So that's one way
It's
to
interesting.
get
I've never
answers.
heard of that. Yeah.
It's like totally different. She calls it intuitive art. So that's one way to do it. Journaling, you write down different kinds of questions. You can find journal prompts from just about anywhere. You can write because I want to do this, and that's a great journal prompt. And so that's one way for some people to get answers. Meditation's a way. Um, you can listen to your body to get answers as well. Like
How does
you
that
can,
work? Yeah.
um, okay, so some people do kinesthesia, the muscle testing. I can
Mm-hmm.
never say the word.
Kinesiology. Yeah.
So some people do that and they'll use different muscles to kind of test if it holds weak or strong. But
Mm-hmm.
another way you can do it is you can ask your body to show you what a yes feels like. For most people, it feels expansive and light. So when you ask a question, you listen to your body and you'll start to feel like just lighter or
Mm-hmm.
expansive. And you ask a no and you'll feel constrictive and kind of like things are getting heavy. And so just kind of pay attention to how your body feels in different things. And then as you're making your choices, you can tune into your body and you can say, how does my body feel about this? And notice if it feels constricted, then it's not the best choice for you. If you feel expansive, then it's going to be a good choice for you.
So say someone who's brand new at this, say they want to know something about the relationship they're in, and they ask a specific question,
Mm-hmm.
and like say, should I move forward with this relationship? Should I continue this relationship with this person? How are they going to know if the answer they receive is actually from their higher power versus they just thinking it up in their head because that's what they want or that's what they don't want? You know what I'm saying? How do they know
Mm-hmm.
for sure that they can trust what is coming to them?
I think one of the best ways is to kind of notice what kind of feelings come along with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel calm and joyful and peaceful, then you're probably doing that because it's exciting, but you still kind of feel fear or confusion, or you're kind of just choosing it because that's what you want. You'll kind of feel a different kind of feeling. It will feel more constricted, like when your body's feeling constricted versus feeling more open. So if you can kind of pay attention to how you're feeling, um, what's the other thing? I have like something trying to come through.
Mm-hmm.
um,
The answer's in action, just as we're talking about them.
yeah, there are going to be people who are very, very logical thinkers, and
Yeah.
this is going to be harder for them because it seems counterintuitive. It's important to remember that we have all aspects within us. So even though it's like using your right hand and your left hand. If you're right hand dominant, then that's really easy for you. When you try to write with your left hand, it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're very logical, and if you're a very logical thinker, then the idea of using your intuition can be pretty far out there and pretty crazy. But it would be like training yourself to use your left hand. And so it's something that is in there, and you can start off with doing things that are familiar to you, like writing pros and cons lists. But then as you look at the pros and cons list, try to tune into feelings intuitively and see if you can marry the two at first. Or maybe forever, because if you're left brain or really left brain, you're always going to be really left brain, but you get to train yourself to use your whole brain.
So it's a skill that anyone can develop, really, over time.
I think
Takes
so. I
practice.
think so. You know, if it's going to be harder for some people at first. And there's some people, just like there's people that they don't think they can do visualization. I think that's a skill everybody can learn, but it may be that you look at a picture and you close your eye and just try to bring a detail of that picture up in your mind. And then you open your eyes and you look at and try to bring in another detail of the picture in your mind until you can see the whole picture in your mind. For some of us, that's really easy. We don't even have to try. We just look at the picture, close our
Mm-hmm.
minds, and we see, close our eyes, and there it is. And we can see it moving and everything. But if it's new to you, you may have to pick one detail to try and see with your eyes closed. And then when you can see the whole picture, then you practice seeing it moving and adding the feelings and other things to it. So it's a skill that you can train yourself to have.
Great. Yeah, because I know, like, I'm thinking of a handful of people I know that could absolutely use this skill in their life because they're always wanting to know what to do and to seek answers, but I feel like they're not willing to maybe develop a skill like this. And but knowing that anyone can do it, no matter what type of a brain we have or what skills we have or talents and things like that, anyone can learn how to tap into this inner power of their intuition, or receiving answers to anything that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love that. So what are maybe some common mistakes that you hear or you know of that people maybe do when they're trying to tap into this ability? And it can be hard because, especially if someone's brand new, they feel maybe a little unsure. Am I doing this right? Am I not doing it right? Or they feel like they've got it down when really it's maybe they're making a huge mistake. What are some things that that our listeners can take to heart of, okay, just make sure that I stick to this and this and avoid that and that, and everything will work just fine?
Well, the biggest one is that self-doubt. We start questioning it. That is the biggest mistake we can make is to start questioning it. Maybe like with the method I originally talked about with asking the what would it take and you get an action step, maybe a mistake that people make is that they get too big of an action step and so they get overwhelmed, and instead of asking another question to bring it back down to a smaller thing, because sometimes we try to take leaps when we just need to take baby steps. And
so
I
ask
think that
simple questions.
yeah, if it feels too big for you, ask more questions until you get something that's not quite as scary that you can take an action on. Another thing is to give up too quickly. You know, if you're like, oh my gosh, I tried it, it didn't work. Instead of realizing it is a skill that you have to train and you have to work on. And so, you know, keep practicing until it becomes natural for you and you're not even questioning it. And you're like, yep, that's, and the more you do it, the more you can kind of get an idea of where the thoughts are coming from, whether they're coming from a fear place or whether they're coming from an expanded place or whether they're coming from your higher power or they're coming from inside of your own mind. As you get practicing, you get to where you can kind of tell the difference between where you're at. But that's important to keep practicing. Keep practicing.
Yeah, it's not like riding a bike where you can just learn it once and you're set. It's like you say, a skill that we have to do consistently. I've actually been working on this skill myself and been using it a lot lately with some big changes that are happening just in my life. And one of the things for me that has been a struggle is if I receive an answer or a thought comes to mind or an idea that is just so simple, I feel like it has nothing to do with what I just asked. Or how can that thing, you know, possibly affect this other thing that I want, right? That I asked for. And for me, I catch myself all the time thinking that, like, what is, you know, getting up and going into the other room gonna do? Like, I've had things like that, like just get up and go to the other room. And and so I kind of like bite my tongue and I get up and I just go do it, and maybe I don't see the direct result like instantly, but I'm working on holding on to that trust of, okay, I can't see the end result, but eventually looking back, I know I will. And so it's a huge trust thing.
It is a trust thing. I've had times where I've been working on a website and I'm just like, I just want to get it done, and I go to bed and I'm like, no, I need to do this. But but then I listen, I go to bed, and I remember waking up one morning and after doing this, being told to go to bed, and so I reluctantly went to bed. I woke up and I knew exactly what I needed to do to the website. That stepping away, going to bed, listening allowed me to decompress from what I was doing and allowed the answers to come. And sometimes the answers are obvious. Yes, this makes sense how it will work. Other times, my favorite stories are when people are told to go to some place which seems so bizarre and so not even related to what they're doing. But when they go, they end up meeting somebody there that was the perfect answer to their situation. And you never know. And so, yeah, it is an act of trust. It is a huge act of trust.
That's funny you shared that, because a lot of the time I will ask, can I take a nap? Can I just do this tomorrow? Can I just go to bed? And I'll often say, no, get it done, or do it. And I'm like, why can't I be told to go to sleep? That's funny, right? Because we're so tired sometimes. But so that's awesome. So is this so some questions our listeners might be having is this something that they can use in any area of their life? Are there limits or boundaries to what this skill and technique can be used for?
As far as I know, there are no limits. You
No
can use it for
limits.
anything. I've used it to help me make dinner, to know what kind of ingredients to add to my dinners. I've used it to help with parenting. I get some interesting answers. I've used it in business. I've used it in relationships. I've used it with money. I've used it with everything. Yeah. Sometimes it's been interesting because I'll ask the question and I won't get an answer, or I'll get an answer of just trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Once with a closet, I saw the closet and I'm like, oh my gosh, what would it take to get that closet organized? And I knew in my situation, I just was not going to be able to do that. I had so much going on. And I just kind of didn't really get a strong answer, kind of taken care of, kind of an idea. The next day, my mom, out of nowhere, decided to clean up that closet. And she just reorganized it. And I was like, sweet. sometimes the answer is to trust the universe, to trust God, to trust everything out there to take care of it. And they will. And sometimes it's something for you to do. And so it's good to ask, because not everything's up to you to make perfect.
I have to remember that a lot, actually, personally, because at least, once a week, and I ask maybe at least one thing every day. And at least once or twice a week, I just get the answer, just wait, be patient, and trust me. And I'm like,
it's kind of hard to
I
hear.
have to do something, like, because I'm very, if it's going to happen, I've got to do it, right? So, but it's been great because it's helped me build a ton of faith and trust over the past few months for myself. So trust is a huge thing with this, especially.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. And when you listen, things always work out. Maybe they don't work out exactly how you thought they were, and when you look back, you think, wow, you even look back and you're like, how did that even all come together? Because it's so, like, just the pieces are so bizarre, but it always works out perfectly. And sometimes when we try to do it ourselves, we actually delay the process of things coming together.
That's true. Oh, see, that's what I needed to hear today. Well, great. I love it. I want our listeners to know where can they find you, Michelle? I know you've got a great Facebook group and YouTube channel. Can you share those things with us? And we'll be sure to include them in the show notes too.
Yeah, the easiest way to find my YouTube channel is to go to tinyurl.com/Michelle YouTube, and that's MIC YouTube, YOUTUBE.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to find my YouTube channel. It's called Michelle Invites You to Wake Up and Live, and I post daily videos there. My Facebook group is Wake Up and Live. You can find, let's say, my business page is Soulshine Live. So you can find me through that. You can find me on Facebook as Michelle Lewis.
Yeah, and we will have all of the links for
yes, and I'm currently in development for my website, so I'm not handing that information out.
That's totally okay. That's great. Thank you so much for coming on today. I know that this message that you share with helping others shine their light and understanding how to find the answers that they seek easily within themselves is so huge, and so many people need this information because it's exactly what they need. So thank you so much. And is there anything else that you wanted to say before we cut off?
I want to say thank you, and I will end the way that I end all of my videos. Remember to let your soul shine big, bright, live, and beautiful.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. If you guys loved this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. And we would love to hear from you, especially what you loved about Michelle, and leave us any comments or shares. And we will see you next time. This is Sarah Prince of the Breakthrough to Beautiful Life podcast. We will see you next time.